Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022. Thank you for tuning in. Glad to have you guys here. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, soon, I think probably, I can't put a finger on exactly when, but you're going to be on your own. Okay, we got the system that supports us, especially the people that live in an urban setting, a setting where there's densely populated areas. They're more dependent than the people out in the country. But a lot of people out in the country are dependent as well upon the system for support. They never even had a garden in their life. The closest thing they've come to growing food would be taking care of a house plant. And they're going to end up you're going to end up at a certain point being on your own. The power grid out there. Uh, they're going to overtax it pretty soon. And the power grid is on shaky ground. Food production's on shaky ground right now. We're not producing enough food to feed 8 billion people. The numbers are coming in. It's only going to be enough to feed probably 5 billion at best. Situations happening in the world. Well, I'm going to get the charts started. We're going to look at some of this stuff. Let's start the charts. Let me get it up and going. Let's start the charts right here. I'm just looking at some of these stories. It says the United Kingdom orders all poultry and captive birds indoors amid largest ever bird flu outbreak. And this is what's been one of the things that's been adversely affecting the price of things like eggs. Uh, Moving on, what was this I was looking at? About Twitter. Anyway, there's articles about Twitter going on and censorship arguments. The mainstream, it says, is increasingly accepting the possibility that the Fed will blow up the economy. So they're just basically now accepting it. It's going to happen. Well, see, this is problem, reaction, solution. So the Fed, how much money do you really think that the Fed would be able to print if they just basically left the economy alone, let the economy run and not crash it? But by crashing it, they're able to print a lot more money because they've created a problem. Problem, the reaction is to print more money, and that's the solution to the problem that they created. They're manipulating us. Lab is making SARS-2 with gain of functions. They're out there. Let me take a look at that story. It's here. Boston University lab made versions of COVID viruses. They're sitting in there and they're making things that can destroy humanity as we know it. And they're not because this is not like, see, nuclear weapons are onto that. You have to have in order to make nuclear weapons, you have to be in a country like, a place that has the ability to do that. And you have to have, there's certain rules that they've put in place for that. They have nuclear arms treaties and things like that. But this is like the Wild West, but it's just more dangerous, yet there's not as much controls in place for this, what's called gain of function, and it says right here, it says scientists involved could have unleashed a new pathogen, right? A new pathogen. Imagine that. Just what we need in the world. What else we got going on here? Oh, it says 1,000 Russian soldiers killed in 24 hours. as Ukraine strikes unequipped troops. Well, basically, I guess unequipped troops. That means they either have no guns or probably have no ammunition. One of the two. And so, in the old days, we used to call this a turkey shoot. So, 1,000 men gone. Well, Russia's got 300,000 that they've just enlisted, and they shove them right out in front, and that'll take best part of a year, but they'll work through them. But what is Russia going to do after those 300,000 gone? Oh, would the Russian people accept going through and grabbing 300,000 more? And sending them out there in front? And I don't know. I mean, sooner or later, it seems to me, if they keep doing this kind of deployment, sooner or later, there's going to be a problem starting. Let's take a look at the financial system today. I mean, all this is just a mess. Why do we have to follow the rules like we used to? Especially when it regards, taking people and grabbing them out of their house and shoving them out there and making them shoot one another. I mean, this is barbaric. It's come down from ancient times, and it's something that I totally believe that should be done away with. It should be gone in the modern world. Okay, live gold price, $2.30 up, 16.50. Taking a look at silver today. Silver is up 5 cents at 1965. Let's take a look at cryptos, and Bitcoin is at 20,425, and Ethereum is at 1559. We got a market cap here just over $1 trillion for cryptos. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is down 106 points at 32,579. Getting ready for a big one. The big one's coming, guys. Seriously. Might only have a matter of months before it comes, and it's going to be one of two things. Either the financial system's going to give up the ghost, or we're going to enter into some sort of World War III, or maybe both. If you guys haven't been prepping, like I say, you're going to be on your own. Because we're not prepared. Most of us are not prepared to be on our own. And then disease will break out. What we're looking at is nothing less than I'm not going to call it an extinction level event, but it's more like a decrease in the population. And it could be a massive decrease in the population. And I think when it ends, it's going to end rather abruptly. And we're going to see the problems start to get fixed. These problems that haven't been fixed, that are like, it's like a person that never replaces the tires on their car. Sooner or later, they're going to be sitting on the side of the road with 4 flats. So that's the financial system, right? And as far as the war situation is concerned, that's even worse. The car could burn down. So right now it's still running. The car's still going down the road. It's got tires that are like half flat, and an engine is spitting along on one cylinder, but it is still moving down the road. That's the system right now. And overall, the people aren't too upset, because they're still getting along or getting by, but they're finding it hard. It's getting a lot worse very quickly. Soon the people are going to start to get upset. It's just a matter of time. So the market's down 106 points. Let's take a look at crude oil. It's 88.45. It's down 8 cents, up 8 cents on the day. Move index today, 148.42, and we see it going up over the period of the last year. Let's take a look at treasuries, and we're seeing falling yields today. 2.6 basis points down on the US 30-year at 4.09 and the US 10 years at 4.03. It's down 1.6 basis points. Now checking the dollar index at 111.37. Well, you're going to need, if in order to get through all this, you're going to need a water source. Now, if you're someplace where it's difficult to obtain a water source, what you should have is a water filtration system that can filter rainwater and a lot of bottled water put away. Okay, so that's one thing covered. So you got liquid. You're not going to die of thirst. The next thing you need to have covered is food. Enough food to get you through. I would say probably at least 6 months of food put away for yourself. And then when the system starts to come back, it's not going to be running on fiat currencies any longer. At that point, when the system starts to come back, everything starts to come back online. Your old paper currencies aren't going to do you any good, and your bank accounts, you're not going to be able to go to the bank because the bank's going to be defunct. Probably, I'm thinking probably about half the population's, or less than half the population is going to be left over. So there's going to be a lot of empty buildings, empty places, and places where they'll be just probably selling properties for taxes. Buy it, pay off the back taxes, and it's yours. Because there's going to be so many people, so many less people in the world. It just ain't going to make it through this, because when you're on this period when people are on their own, there's going to be very limited medications. People simply disappear just because they couldn't get a hold of any antibiotic. Maybe they'll get an infection. And go to the drugstore and they can't even get find an open drugstore. You can't even find an open drugstore besides find one that's got any stock. And not just medications like antibiotics, but all across the whole spectrum. And an awful lot of people in the modern day society rely upon these things. They need their meds. And that's just the start. Can't go 48 hours without water. Most people have not got that covered. So like I say, you got to have water. You got to have a dry bed. You know, you got to stay warm. Can't freeze to death. And, you know, and you got to have food supply enough to last you through this thing. And try to cover the medical basis as well. And hope you don't get sick when all this is going on. At the same time, all of your fellow mans out there, and women's out there, are going to be like wanting to take away what you got because they don't have it either and they want it. So, I mean, and there's going to be no emergency services whatsoever. I've experienced that. I know what it's like with no emergency services. I just got done experiencing that about a month or so ago. I could have got on the phone and called 911 and nobody would have came. Because there's too many trees down crossing the highways and stuff, and they had too many other calls. You're on your own. It was in a bad hurricane. Because we had two massively bad hurricanes, and the same situation happened down in Florida. I think it was Ian in Florida. And people could call 911 and nobody'd come. They were in the center of it, and there's just too many other calls around, too many trees down, too many houses that were blown to pieces. You know, and you think this can't happen? What I'm talking about? You better get your head out of the sand and get your head out of the sand pretty quick. Because I'm telling you guys, the world is setting up to become a nasty place. We've lived in this period of time that's been like charmed beyond belief for the last 40 years. And the younger generation shows the signs of this charmed period. Just take a look at kids, in their 20s, 22, 23 years old, A lot of times, a young man, he'd probably have his own car. Brand new car they're driving. Where'd you think they get that? Maybe their parents bought it for them or whatever. And young, maybe a young lady, she just mostly focused on what's happening in the hip hop pop scene, and talking to her friends on chit chat and whatever. You got to have the latest iPhone 10, iPhone 11, iPhone 12, whatever. I'm not keeping up with the iPhones, but just got to have the latest. Got to have her hair done just the right kind of curls that's in right now, or the right color, blue or green or whatever. Maybe I'm out of it talking just about this stuff. I'm probably not keeping up, but you get the point. Young man, he's got to have this certain type of car that looks like a Lamborghini, some sort of a swift car. It's got to be red, and he's got to have leather seats. They've never experienced anything like this, where they're stuck with the power grid down, no telecommunications, the phones are all dead and everything else, and it ain't coming back. And the car, as far as the young man with his car, what good is it if he can't ever get gas again for that car? There'd be a whole long line of cars sitting on the side of the road. You can have any one of them you want. The keys are in them. And the tanks are all empty. It's just like something out of one of these zombie movies, you know what I mean? Apocalyptic type movies, where those cars aren't any good anymore because if something can't function any longer, what good is it to you? Anyway, I'm rambling on, guys. This is the end of your show for this morning. It's time to really get prepared because this world is falling apart, and it's all the responsibility of these people who are in charge of the system. And I'd almost sit in here and say, hey, you guys elected them in. Not you guys in particular, but people out there elected them in. But no, I just don't know how the system works any longer. I'm just jaded to the whole thing. But I can see one thing that is for sure. She's sinking. And we might only have weeks, maybe a few months. I'm not going to sit here and say we got years. I don't think we got years. But anyway, thank you guys for listening to the show. Like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.